Hello everybody, welcome to this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. Place where we talk about anything and everything that is geek, whether it be TV, comics, movies, or video games. And as y'all know, last time I had I guess call it either a discussion or a rant about where the media was all of a sudden referring to in a recent story they're talking about. They were almost referring to PG-13 movies as kids movies, and they're talking about sex and violence and PG-13 movies, and they refer to them as kids movies. Well, I don't know, and like I said, and I still say that is just I don't know why they refer to PG-13 movies as kids movies. Well, clearly there's a lot of them that are not kids movies, and definitely ain't suitable for kids to look at. But I actually thought of this idea beforehand, and it kind of fits hand in hand with that, and with what I was discussing in the previous episode, and that is if they were to if they are so like they are, they're so concerned about violence and mess, and I would say particularly superhero movies. It's like they're so concerned about kids being exposed to violence and mess in movies and everything. What are they going to do? Like if they do something as severe as they talk about as concerned, I said, well, action's a part of the movie anyway. As like, well, if they try to cut violence out of a movie, what are you going? I said, you ain't going to have nothing much there. And it's essentially like basically they'll try to dumb it down to make like less violent for kids or mess like they try to make it's like you can't make everything for kids. I mean, it kind of makes it where the adults won't get any enjoyment out of it. I mean, there's more to life. I'm gonna say there's more in this world than R-rated movies. Believe me, there are. And I said everything can't be R-rated for adults and everything else be for kids. Because, like I said, you can't go through something like the Avengers and just dumb it down. I mean, you can't dumb down stuff like Batman or Superman, stuff like that, because it's a disaster. I said I made this reason why dumbing down superhero movies for kids to make them more suitable for kids isn't necessarily a good thing. And I said, I said, like I just said, it's dumbing down the movie for a kid don't make a good movie at all. It just makes it more. And I said, it just makes it. And I'll give you a reason. I'll tell you why it don't make for a good movie. Number one reason is it oversimplifies the plot. I mean, nothing. As everybody knows, what makes a good superhero movie is a really good plot, a really good complex plot with twists and turns in it and everything. And yet there's sometimes where the plot is very simple to follow, and yet it's very simple and yet doesn't take the enjoyment out of it. Well, in some kids movies, they make it where it make it where a kid can understand it. I mean, some kids nowadays are a little bit more complex, a little bit more complicated, supposedly more sophisticated than the previous generations, supposedly. Well, if you oversimplify everything, it makes it look dumb to an adult. I mean, like I said, if you took like this big overall story with like a complex twists and turns and surprises and plot twists in it, and you just cut all that out of it just to make it easier for a kid to understand, you're sitting through the whole thing like, duh, I knew that, or duh, like basically you could see almost the end of the movie coming before the beginning starts. Some people won't. I said sometimes a story's like that. Like you can almost see the end before the beginning. See the end at the beginning. Like you get like maybe a few minutes into it, and you get to see like obvious setups. Like here, like this is going to set up to later. And this is, I mean, that's all a part of what a good movie plot is supposed to be about. I mean, it's supposed to have setups in it that make you think about it like, oh, that's set up to later. that was set up earlier. That's awesome. I mean, it's supposed to, and you oversimplify it. And it's like, well, you can see that coming. And like that's like almost like it's a blatantly obvious setup to something that's going to happen later. Like you like that comes into play. I mean, as part of a good plot, it's something that comes in later. And like I said, if you oversimplify it, like like they overemphasize it, beat it into your head, and like oh, they're going to set up for that later. Puh. Like it just make it dumber. I said it don't make it. It ain't nothing smart. We're oversimplifying some. I know. I said it get really. I mean, if it makes it get. I mean, if a complicated plot, if a complex plot gets a kid to thinking, you're doing good. You don't have to oversimplify everything. I mean, it just makes it dumb for the adults. Like just dumb, mindless. I said it don't make it. Ain't nothing smart about it. It's just dumb entertainment. I'm gonna say it's just dumb entertainment. There's such a thing as smart entertainment, dumb entertainment. That qualifies as dumb. I know you're trying to simplify it for a kid, but there's such a thing as even the kids look at it like that's dumb. I mean I'm gonna say for it right now. Somebody that's almost a kid at heart, I can almost say that some kids would look at oversimplified messages like that's dumb. They look at it like this, like they think I'm stupid or something. I mean, your audience. So you need to make it smart. You don't need to make it so smart that a college graduate, that a genius could only understand it. You need to, but you don't need to make it so smart a dog can understand it either. But you don't need to make it so smart. You don't need to make it so dumb that you don't make it. I mean, but so, like I said, you don't need to make it too dumb. And when I say dumb, I mean from some adults would see it that way. Fans would see it that way. Like I mean, I've heard like Justice League Heroes criticized because it was something that it said almost like something that could be understood, but just almost like a first grader would deem. And I said it was a Justice League game. I said the reviewer said even a first grader would say that it was too simplified. And I thought it was a good story. I said people had different opinions on things, but like I said, I said, but in terms of like oversimplifying a story, I said it don't work for a superhero movie. It's got to have twists and turns in it. It can't just be straightforward in your face to the point. That works for some things, but not. I said it's just too work. It's just like well, that was pointless. Like I said, I could see that coming a mile away. It needs to make you think. Like, oh, that's set up to this and that, and it just makes it a better story. And just oversimplify it just takes that all the enjoyment out of a movie. Personally, there's such a thing as simplifying. There's such a thing as making it like, well, I knew that was going to happen. I mean, and the enjoyment. I mean, enjoyment of a movie is thinking something's going to happen, but it don't think it the way you thought it did. But if something happens that you didn't think was going to happen, and oversimplifying it just makes it like, well, duh, obviously. And like I said, it just makes the audience look stupid. It makes the audience feel. It makes the audience look at the movie and hate it. Basically, it's like well, the audience. It's like you make your audience look stupid, and the audience ain't stupid. I'm gonna say right now, your audience ain't stupid. Your audience is smarter than you think it is. And I said, and he said you got. I said it just makes the audience. It makes the audience look at it and say it's stupid. And makes you want to walk out the theater or throw the DVD in the trash or go get the money back or trade it for something else. And I said, oversimplifying plot don't work. And you gotta have a good plot, not one that's like just blatantly obvious. And that's still oversimplifying, making everything so blatantly obvious that I said you need to make. I mean, you need to make something simple for the kids but you don't need to treat the kids like they're stupid. Kids ain't stupid. I said, but you don't need to make it so. You may make it simple, but make it enjoyable. Make it with some twists and turns in it. Don't make it like because like my head hurts. And just make it, where they can understand it, but don't make it like that was just stupid. I could see that coming. And then make it simple. Like I said, making it oversimple, it just ruins a movie. And another thing, and the next thing, leaving out key character development. It said because some of it may be inappropriate for a little kid or a little bit heady for a little kid. That just makes the character a hollow shell of his former self. Like, take it for instance, Batman. His character is born of violence and death. Any kid knows that. His parents were murdered. He swore revenge. He grew up, trained, made a suit, made gadgets, became Batman. Built a car and became Batman. It's like that's the origin of Batman. But there are some people out there that would think, oh, that's too violent. It's too like I said, and in case some villains is like, oh, that's too violent. That's too offensive for kids. That's like, they don't need to be exposed to that. Let's take that out of it. Let's take that out of it. What have you got there? A hollow shell with no motivation. You got somebody running around, like I said, in the case of Batman, you got somebody running around the bat suit, catching the bad guys. Why is he doing it? You won't tell his origins, and it's like, okay, he just decided to become Batman one day. You don't know, or the villain's like, oh, he's just a hollow shell that just wants to rob banks or take over the world. It's like, there is no explanation why. There is no explanation. And like I said, and I said, things that are violent, and they think they might be offensive, or you got to have that in there, or else they're just going to be a hollow shell. It's just going to be just nothing to it. I'm gonna dare bring it up again. It'd be like the New 52. It's just like the DC did with the New 52. They took key elements of what made that hero who they are. Like, I'm going to use, for instance, Superman. As I always use an example. Superman. They took a key element of what made him who he is away from him. And that is his Earth parents, Jonathan and Martha Kent. They made him they made Superman who he is. How he acts. How he treats people and everything. How he is as a human being. They took that away and look at him now. A whiny emo in a suit of armor. That spends more time fighting with his colleagues than he does the villain. He spends more of his time griping and complaining and fighting his own fellow heroes than he does the villain. Same thing here. You take key elements out of there, what's the character? He's just a shadow, vague shell of what he should be. Hero or villain. He ain't what he was. He ain't what he should be. And to me, and just because he's born of violence doesn't mean you should cut that out of it just to keep the kids from being exposed to it. The kids already know it. The kids already know it. So why in the world are you trying to hide it from them? Why try to censor it from them just to get some little hollow shell, vague character of the character they already know and have read about and enjoy reading about for however long they've been, however old they are, how long they've been reading it. Like I said, it just makes them for a terrible movie. And another thing, it leads me to my next thing. My next point. It ends up being too campy and too silly. The first thing that comes to mind is when Disney bought the Power Rangers. When they bought the Power Rangers, When the first the Power Rangers have always had a little bit of camp to it anyway, exaggeration and camp and a little touch of silliness to it. It's always been that way. I mean, it's slowly progressive, got darker and darker over the years, and it didn't have that much campiness and silliness to them. But like I said, over time, but when Disney bought them, they took any darkness in them out. I mean, you had, I think it started with Ninja Storm, was the first Disney produced Power Ranger series. A villain that should have been a menace, it should have been menacing and dark and evil, was a flipping joke. He was a joke. He stood there, like I said, he was too campy, too silly. I mean, you got this guy who's a ninja, who is supposed to be an evil, dark ninja warrior. He's got two nieces. They're more like almost like, I'm gonna say Valley Girl teenagers. More like your typical teenagers. Just want to be typical teenagers. Don't even want to be villains. They're just teenagers. They're just following suit. And then you got this guy over here. He's supposed to be dark and evil, but he's like, I'm gonna take another villain out of another Power Ranger, Ivan Ooze. He was silly and campy, but he's like that on steroids. But the character whose name's Lothor, sound a lot like Luther, doesn't it? They took him. He's like Ivan Ooze on I ain't gonna say acid. Ivan Ooze on steroids. He's Ivan Ooze on a bigger scale, on even bigger, campier scale than Ivan Ooze ever was. I mean, Ivan Ooze was one thing in Power Rangers, but when Disney got a hold of it, there was things that got too silly in it, and it just kept going through different series. I mean, you had your comic reliefs, and you had so there was things in it that were way too silly for even the Power Rangers. Like when I talk about dumbing it down, I know I'm talking about TV shows at this point, but it's the same thing. When they dumb down, take something that's been dark and for older kids on it, and try to gear it for, and try to like, well, the older kids, they don't know what they want. They're almost like, well, I was like, this is too much. We gotta make it. You're basically chasing away your audience. You're making it for little kids used to watch Power Rangers, sure, but now they're dumbing it down to Disney levels. I mean, at one time Disney could make something. I know I gripe about Disney a lot, but I'm saying, but back in the day, they made stuff that was silly, and yet it was smart. It was kid friendly, and yet it was smart. Even an adult like me could enjoy it. I mean, I got old episodes of Darkwing. I've got seasons of Darkwing Duck. I loved Darkwing Duck as a kid. I said their funny shows, their superhero stuff was smart and funny and enjoyable. Now it's just silly. Now you've got silly stuff like I said like they did with the Power Rangers the years they were producing it. I mean, they even took when they decided out of nowhere to quit producing Power Rangers and took the entire first season and redid it with these cartoon balloon special effects stuff that they didn't need to be in the show at all. Ugh. I mean, you look at any Disney program now, it's like they don't have a brain. Like, they dumbed it down way too much. It's too campy. It's too silly. It's too over the top. And I said the superhero shows are just about there. I mean, I haven't seen Avengers, but I heard it's good. I haven't seen Avengers. I haven't seen Ultimate Spider-Man, but both of them look good, and I've heard the Avengers is good. But then you've got mess like they're blending Phineas and Ferb into the Marvel universe on TV. You got like stuff like Phineas and Ferb meets the Marvel superheroes. What is that? I know it's good for the kids, but it's just silly. It's too silly. I got something. I mean, it's just this. Like I said, that goes back to, like I said, dumbing down things for kids just ain't good. I know they used to do it back in the days, like Scooby Doo meets Batman and stuff like that. But that was in the days when Batman. That's back before they started doing it more true to the comic instead of something that was like lighter and more like Super Friends. I know they used to do that back then, and but it was still smart. It was kid friendly then, but it was still smart. Now if they do something kid friendly, it's dumb. And I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna use this as an example also. Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans had an aspect of like you could. I mean, it had that anime silliness. It had too much. It was geared for a younger audience, but there were enjoyable spots in it too, and that it felt like it was like Justice League Junior, something like that. But then you got Teen Titans Go, which goes completely a new level of territory where they ain't even superheroes. They're just acting like kids. Like kids with superpowers. They ain't being superheroes. They're acting like kids with superpowers. That animation stinks too, but I won't go into that. But like I said, it's just dumber and dumber. They act like it. I don't know why they're doing that, but it's. Tell you the truth, Teen Titans Go acts like something that more belongs at Disney than DC. I mean, for goodness sake. And it's just. I mean, Batman back in the day had camp and silliness to it, but at least it was enjoyable. It wasn't stupid. It wasn't stupid. It had a good, gripping story that kept your attention. But some of these things they got now is just so dumb and so so simple and dumbed down and just picked apart. It's supposed to be kid friendly, but it's just stupid. It's just dumb now. And you can't enjoy that. It makes your head hurt how silly it is. And I said, I just can't take stuff like that. They try. I mean, for crying out loud, Sky High and ones like there's some Disney movies that were smart, like Sky High and The Incredibles. Whatever happened to stuff like that? I mean, that was made for kid-friendly audience, but still, it was good. Let's take another one like Megamind. That was good. It was a PG-rated movie, but it was made. You can tell it's made with a little bit of silliness, comedy in it for kids and everything. But it was smart. It was good. Same with The Incredibles. It's smart. It's funny. Sky High. It was good. It's good and enjoyable too. Though you can sense it was more geared for it, but it was a lot of action in it. It was good. It was a good, interesting movie. But you got stuff nowadays like Teen Titans Go and blending stuff like Phineas and Ferb into the Marvel universe, and the way that Disney did Power Rangers. I know this is more centered on Disney bashing here, but still, that's the epitome of. I don't know what happened to Disney. But they suddenly started doing this stuff like this. I mean, they're one of the key culprits here. But there are other ones that do it too. But Disney is probably one of the key culprits in dumbing down things for little kids and making it where adults can't enjoy it. Like basically taking something that adults have enjoyed and just dumbing it down to such a level that like I can't enjoy it. Like they make it like they can't enjoy it. They think it's like there's certain people out there that think everything will be Barney and Friends or Sesame Street. That's what they think. Everything will be something you see on PBS. That's what's wrong. That's what's wrong with a lot of the things. They said they're trying to dumb it down for little kids. They're trying to make everything like that. They're trying to dumb down everything for It'd be more like y'all see it on PBS or something. It's like there's Sesame Street or Barney. No offense, I'm going to say it. A lot of kids program on PBS. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. They want everything to be like that, and I said Disney's leading the way. I just can't stand that. I can't stand it. I want smart programming. I want smart movies. I want stuff like Man of Steel, Dark Knight, Avengers. I want stuff like that. In terms of superhero cartoons, I want stuff that's like Batman animated series. They ought to go back to that kind of stuff. I mean, there's cartoons out there now that are smart, but they try to gear them for almost preteens. Everybody saying like they're for preteens, and anything lower than anything between 11 and anything between if they're like between 3 and 11 years old, everything will be stupid. Kids ain't dumb. I guess say about 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, I was watching Batman animated series. I was watching stuff like Darkwing Duck. And it was smart. It was funny. It was enjoyable. I watched stuff like the Power Rangers. It was enjoyable. It had good plots. It wasn't too simple. It was simple, but it wasn't too simple. Like you didn't know what was going to happen next. Now everything's too predictable. And that's the problem with a lot of stuff now. It's too dumbed down. It's too silly, too campy, it's just... I said, it ain't enjoyable. I said, like I said, it's just... I said, I prefer... I said, and when it comes... I said, let's just say... And like I said, it's just... Like I said, they need to... Like I said, the reason kids enjoy stuff like the Avengers and stuff like that, it's good and it's not dumb. It's good superhero movie, action movie. It shouldn't be dumbed down, and it shouldn't be. As I said, make it simple, but don't make it simple. You know. I said don't need that kind of stuff that like a little bitty kid would be watching. I said my nephew. I'm going to say it. When my nephew was a little kid, I was showing him stuff like Superman and Batman already. And he loved it. He's kind of grown out of it a little bit, but he still loves that kind of stuff. But he loved that kind of stuff. He still likes that kind of stuff. He likes the bigger movies now. Like Dark Knight and stuff. He watches that kind of stuff now. But like I said, it's just... Dumbed down movies do not make for good entertainment at all. I mean, it's just, like I said, it insults the intelligence of the audience and of any superhero fan out there. I mean, that's just me. What do y'all think? Am I right about this, or do y'all have a different? Do y'all think differently about it? Let me know. As always, drop me a comment in the comment box. I would love to hear what y'all think. And I guess that's it for this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. As always, you got a comment about the show, drop me a comment in the comment box. Y'all got any ideas about things you want to hear me talk about on the show? Again, drop me a comment in the comment box. I'm always looking for new things to talk about. Always looking for new, fresh things to discuss on this show. And I said I would love to hear your ideas. I'm always open to ideas. I would love to hear from you. Matter of fact, this idea here comes from my own beautiful, loving wife. She helped me come up with this idea just the other day. And I said, like I said, I'm always open. I'm always looking for ideas. And I said I would love to hear from you. And I'll see y'all next time.